All right, today we are going to dig into how to build workflows that are genuinely smart. I'm not just talking about workflows that follow instructions, I'm talking about workflows that can actually think.
Look, we all love automation for the boring stuff, right? It's like having a digital checklist that just runs itself. But what if automation could do more than just check off boxes? What if we could really push that boundary?
I mean, what if you could automate the parts of your work that actually require some judgment? Not just the doing, but the thinking. Now that's where things get really interesting. And to understand how we get there, we first need to talk about the right tool for the job.
To make this all happen, you need a platform that can connect all the different tools we use every single day, our email, our spreadsheets, our messaging apps, and bring them together into one cohesive system. And that brings us to Zapier. At its heart, Zapier is basically the digital glue that connects all the apps you already use and depend on. It lets you create these incredibly powerful automated workflows. And the best part is, you don't have to write a single line of code.
So when you jump into Zapier, you've got a big choice to make right from the start. Are you building something that follows a super strict recipe, step by step? Or do you need something that can actually look at a situation and make a judgment call? That choice is going to lead you down two totally different paths, using what they call zaps or using agents.
All right, let's tackle Zaps first. Honestly, the best way to picture a Zap is like a digital assembly line. It's just perfect for those repetitive A then B then C tasks where the rules never, ever change. So here's the key thing to remember, the simple rule of thumb. Zaps handle rules. If you can write down a clear, if this happens, then do that, instruction for a task, a Zap is almost always going to be your best bet. So, for example, a classic Zap might work like this. Someone fills out a form on your website. Boom, step one. Step two, that data automatically gets logged in a Google Sheet. And step three, a notification instantly pings your team's Slack channel. See? It's predictable, it's reliable, it's a straight line.
Okay, but what about the work that isn't a straight line? You know, the messy stuff that needs a bit of interpretation. Well, for that, we need to go down that second path and talk about agents. Think of an agent as your own personal AI assistant that you can hand off the more complicated stuff to.
And this, right here, is the core difference. It's so simple, but so important. If Zaps handle rules, well, agents handle judgment. They're built to interpret information and then figure out the best course of action based on a goal that you've given them.
So let's break down what an agent is actually made of. It has a trigger, which tells it when to run. But here's the magic. You also give it instructions on how to think. You give it tools, like access to other apps, and you can even give it knowledge sources, like documents to read for context. It's this unique combination that lets it actually reason about a problem. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're building a super simple Zap or a really complex agent. They both run on the exact same fuel, data. And understanding the data you're working with, that is the absolute foundation for making any of this work. And usually your data comes in one of two, let's call them flavors. First, you've got structured data. This is the neat and tidy stuff, right? The clearly labeled fields in a form or a spreadsheet. Then you've got unstructured data. That's the messy stuff, the free-form text from an email or notes from a meeting. Zaps absolutely love structured data. Agents, on the other hand, are designed to make sense of that unstructured chaos. And inside all that data, you've got different types. Text, numbers, dates, that kind of thing. You know, making sure the output from one step perfectly matches the kind of input the next step is expecting, that is so crucial. Honestly, most automation failures have nothing to do with bad AI. It's just about mismatched data types, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Okay, so before you get all excited and rush off to build your first AI assistant, we gotta talk about two really important things. How much is this gonna cost? And how are you gonna keep your data safe? When we're talking about cost, especially for these AI-powered agents, it pretty much boils down to two key factors. One, how often does the agent have to run? And two, how much text does it have to read through to make its decisions? This is a big reason why sometimes a simple Zap is way more cost-effective if you don't actually need that complex judgment. Now for security. The rules here are pretty simple, but you can't cut corners on them. Rule one, only give your automations access to what they absolutely positively need. Nothing more. Rule two, just don't feed them sensitive personal or company data. Seriously. And rule three, whenever you can, play around with test accounts first before you hook up the real thing. And this is really the perfect way to think about it. Imagine an agent is a new assistant sitting at your desk. You wouldn't just hand them the keys to the entire company on day one, right? Of course not. You got to treat your digital agents the exact same way. Be really clear and intentional about what they can see and what they can do.
So this brings us right back to where we started, but now we can frame the question a little differently. When does your work need a predictable, efficient assembly line? And when do you need to hire a flexible, intelligent assistant?
And really, the big takeaway is just this simple. It's all about picking the right tool for the right job. If your task is driven by clear, predictable rules, a Zap is your workhorse, your assembly line. But if it needs interpretation, if it needs judgment, well, that's when you hire an agent. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. As you look at your own work, your own daily grind, what part of it is just a recipe? Step 1, step 2, step 3. And what part needs a chef, someone to taste, to improvise, to make a decision? The answer to that question? Well, that's going to tell you exactly where to start building.